We've all seen the pictures of some disaster or another, a tornado, building collapse, bombing, and the search and rescue teams that show up on the scene before the smoke is cleared. Many of those searchers use dogs to help them sniff out the scent of humans trapped beneath the rubble. Their focus is razor sharp. Nothing seems to deter them until they find a survivor or a lost soul and signal their handler. It's a sad but often rewarding line of work, and we wondered what it takes to be a search dog and how they do their jobs. Kat Warren knows. She's a professor at North Carolina State University and a cadaver dog handler and trainer. She's also author of the book, What the Dog Knows: Scent, Science, and the Amazing Ways Dogs Perceive the World. She was fascinated about the topic, so she decided it was time someone wrote about it.
My dog got me interested in the topic. And it's funny because I started doing this search work with him, and for years I resisted writing about it because I was a little bit superstitious. I was having such fun training him and starting to do searches with him that I thought if I try to write about it, I'd kind of ruin it. But there was a point when he turned 6 years old, and I looked at him one night and I thought, if I don't capture him and my fascination with the general topic, it would be kind of a shame. And that's when I turned to my husband and I said, you know what? I think I want to write about this after all.
The first question anyone asks about search dogs is how they can find a person buried beneath rubble, or in the case of Warren and her dog, solo in old Civil War cemeteries.
We are still learning more about it every year, and there's still a lot of mysteries about it, but we do know that, of course, the mammalian brain actually got bigger partly because of the olfactory regions. There's a real link between that. And then dogs process scent a little differently than humans do. And for instance, dogs are able to do stereo with each nostril. So one nostril can have a scent coming in on one side, and the dog can bring it in on one side but not on the other. And that really helps, for instance, with directional stuff. And then the way scent flows over these little turbinates, they just have so much more processing in their heads than we do. It really is fascinating.
Many search dogs are German shepherds, like Warren's dog Solo, or the iconic searcher, the bloodhound. Do certain breeds of dogs have better sniffing abilities than others?
To say that one dog is better than another, you'd be really making it up at that point. The bloodhound, all the stuff you hear about those long ears and those wrinkles, that helps them capture scent. There's actually no real evidence for that. It does make a nice story, right? But we have no clear evidence that a bloodhound is better at following a trail than a well-trained Labrador.
Extreme focus is what allows scent detection dogs to do amazing things, like single out one person's scent in a crowded shopping mall. Warren says that live human scent is extremely complex, and it takes a very well-trained animal to distinguish one human from another.
You are asking a dog, I want you to find this human as opposed to all the others, and I want you to ignore any trails that cross this and follow just this trail. And it really takes an enormous amount of training. And I remember going back in the history books and Robert Boyle, who was a very early chemist, writing about watching a bloodhound do this. He's writing in the 18th century, and this dog going through this crowded marketplace and finding the person in a room, like a second-story room. And I've watched this with really good tracking or trailing dogs, and it's astonishing what they can ignore. Part of it is not just, here's a sock, go follow this trail. It's also that ability to ignore everything else that gets in the way of that trail.
Warren and her dogs search out bodies that have been buried for decades in old cemeteries where the scent isn't wafting in the breeze, but buried deep underground.
We don't know all of what remains, but the fact is that we do know that dogs are able to detect remains that go back hundreds of years. And what the volatiles are, in other words, what is coming off very old bone or even in the dirt, is a little bit of a mystery, because let's acknowledge that it's not very strong at all. But there's enough there, and I've had both my dogs, the one that I've got in training now, but solo as well, working in cemeteries, and I've watched so many dogs work cemeteries that it is fascinating that they can pick up on such faint scent, but they do.
The ability to focus and detect live or dead human scent is amazing. But why do they do it? What makes a dog want to spend hours in the cold or the heat, putting themselves in danger of injury or death?
They want their toy. I know that sounds so simple, but the fact is that dogs work that solidly because they love doing it. It's the same reason a border collie will herd sheep for hours. It is something that is both rewarding for the dog, and the anticipation of an extra reward makes them continue to work. You know, Solo, whom I retired a year ago when he was 10 and he's now 11, he still absolutely goes nuts if I bring out his tug toy. He screams and dances around and tries to grab my pocket. He will work for just unlimited amounts of time. I don't let him, in order to get that tug toy reward at the end.
We've heard what the dog needs to do its job well, but what kind of trainer does it take to make a willing animal into a scent detection dog?
The excellent handlers that I see have a number of things going for them. I think they're enormously patient and low-key. I think that they bring a whole set of tools to the notion of training any particular dog. They don't come with a sort of all-or-nothing view. If I don't get through to this dog by doing this system, by God, that dog's a failure. Good handlers are able to sort of adjust their game.
They also have to know how to have fun with their dogs and how to reward them for their work. Because, after all, that's why the dog does the work in the first place. Warren says that scent games are great for anyone who has a dog as a pet. And for inspiration, you can take a look at some of the ways handlers train their dogs on her website at catwarren.com. You can also find more information there about her book, What the Dog Knows, available at stores and online. And you can visit our site at viewpointsonline.net. Our show is written and produced by Pat Reuter. Our production directors are Sean Waldron, Reed Pence, and Nick Hofstra. I'm Marty Peterson.
Whether you're looking for satisfying seafood options during Lent or you're just celebrating the first flowers of spring, Red Lobster's Lobster Fest is the place to go. Now during Lobster Fest at Red Lobster, choose from the largest variety of craveable lobster dishes on the menu, from exclusive dishes that are only available during Lobster Fest, like Lobster Lover's Dream and Dueling Lobster Tails, to new guest favorites like wood-grilled lobster shrimp and salmon finished with brown butter, and lobster scampi linguine with lobster in every bite. There's a lobster choice for everyone. And right now, Red Lobster is giving you the chance to win the ultimate lobster-worthy celebration, an all-inclusive trip for 4 to Hawaii. To enter, submit images of your lobster-worthy moments to Red Lobster's social media pages using hashtag lobsterworthy and hashtag contest. The contest ends on March 30th, so what are you waiting for? Go to Red Lobster's Lobster Fest and share your hashtag lobster-worthy moments before it's too late.
Shaquille O'Neal for Icy Hot.
If you've got pain, you need the patch.
The Icy Hot Patch. Powerful, targeted, fast-acting pain relief that stays put without the mess. Icy to dull the pain, hot to relax it away. In a variety of sizes, from back, shoulders, knees, even arthritis. So you're covered whenever and wherever you're hurt. Stop pain right at the source with Icy Hot Patches.
Pain's no match for the Icy Hot Patch.
For temporary topical pain relief, use only as directed.
Americans are on the move. About 19 million of us change our residence every year. The U.S. Postal Service wants to help you make the move easier by offering online change of address services. John Budzinski is the U.S. Postal Service's consumer advocate and manager of customer relations.
Changing your address online is easy, safe, and secure. It's easy because you can do it from the convenience of your home or office. It's safe and secure because for a small fee of $1.05, charged to a credit or debit card, we can verify your ID so that your personal information is safeguarded. At the end of the process, you will receive an immediate email confirmation of your change of address, as well as a confirmation letter sent to your new address. The Change of Address website offers tools, information, and exclusive savings to help make your move complete.
The U.S. Postal Service is the most reliable and secure way to change your address. For your next move, save a trip to the post office and visit the USPS website to change your address at moversguide.usps.com.
When the leading antihistamine and Nasacort go nose to nose, Nasacort wins, stopping more of the chemical responses that can cause your nasal allergy symptoms. And when you stop more causes, you get 24-hour relief from sneezing, an itchy runny nose, even congestion. It's prescription strength medicine available over the counter. Nasacort Allergy 24-hour. Stops more of what makes you miserable. Use as directed.